myself as a Muthukumar Kannan, okay, the Apas already explained about me. I am working as a product architect in DC Cap technology. So I have around 6+ years work experience in PHP and Laravel. Okay, so I'm a product, my role is architect the product. Okay, and this is our company logo is a DC Cap Technologies, and here we have our products, own products, is a DC Cap QA is a test management tool. It's a free. So if your company looking for any test management tool, you can just use it. And DC Cap Zerkly is a new one for us, is a child in our company. So is a employee management experience. So you can try is just a we just start developing this one. And one more thing, right? So overall, see my Twitter, so you can see there's a surprise. Okay, so the surprise is, so if you are attending this Laravel Nagpur, you can eligible for DC Cap Circle 3 months free subscription. Actually, we have 1 month. So if you are present in this meeting, you can just go and you can just mail us, mail your account detail. We will enable 3-month free subscription for DC Cap Circle. Okay. Yeah, so this is all about I want to share. So this is a big stage, so that's why I just want to make sure. So what are the things we are doing? I want to know about it. That's it. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, so in this meetup, right? So we are going to see what is multi-tenancy and use case where you need to use this multi-tenancy concept and where you don't want to use this one, and benefits. So what are the benefits we have if we choose the multi-tenancy software architecture, and limitation, so whatever thing we take, so new thing we take, there is some limitation is there, there's some disadvantages there. So we are going to see about this limitation and the how. That's a part we are going to try it in our local system. And the final thing is the question and session. So I just give some 10 minutes after this call. Okay, we will discuss about your questions. Okay. Yeah, so here is the thing. Okay, so the multi-tenancy is a software architecture design, which is a single instance of application. Software system serves a multiple clients. Okay, so yeah, that's a boring one, right? So seeing everything in description is a boring one, and we all hate this from our college. Okay, I just explain it in the next slide with the picture. Okay, so here it will speak more than theory. So yeah, there's a pictorial representation of a multi-tenancy, the difference between the single tenancy and the multi-tenancy. Okay, let's imagine. Okay, so you have a multiple client. So if you are doing you are running your application and the database logic for each and every client, so that is called the single tenant. Okay, so you need to set up everything for each and every clients. So for the web server, and you also need to configure for the database server for each and every client, and you need to host everything in different location based on the client availability. So that is a single tenant. Okay, that's how we call it as a single tenant. The multi-tenant, so we have multiple clients and we have one web server and we have each and every individual database server for each clients. Okay, so that is a multi-tenant. Okay, so we have one web server. So that one web servers, all the client can be able to utilize that one web server, and we maintain all the client information. It is a separate database. Okay, so that's a multi-tenant. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, so the use case. So before we implement any software architecture into our product, okay, so we need to know, so why we want this. Okay, what is the use case of that? That's a proof of concept. Okay, so if this will work for our architecture product, then we will go. Otherwise, we need to forget about that. Okay, so the very important thing is why you need to choose multi-tenancy and what kind of application you want to choose as a multi-tenancy software architecture. Okay, so I just give this use case with the simple real-time example, right? So just imagine, so you own one workspace. So in the workspace, you have 20 floors. Okay, so you have 20 floors in your workspace, but you are not going, you plan to rent those workspace. Okay, in that situation, what you are going to do, so you will just give one floor into one client. Okay, so this is the way. Okay, so here, so you have a 20 floor, you can give all the 20 floor into the different customers. Okay, but the workspace is a one thing. So this is basically the resource and everything is the same thing. You can just give that rental for each customers. That is a simple there's a simple thing you can able to imagine how the multi-tenant will work. Yeah. So in the real time, let's come on to the real time use cases. So the SaaS application, okay, is a pay as you go. Okay, for example, just give me a minute. Okay. For example, right? So let's imagine your Google service provider. Okay, so Google providing a lot of services. Okay, you can just imagine the Google app develop, right? That's a no code, low code app, right? When you go to that section, so they're handling everything in the single app only. Okay, based on your accounts, they will display what you work you done in the no code platform. That's the only thing you can see. Okay, so they don't manage your server differently from the other one. They are store everything in the same places, but based on your account, they will display the app. So that is the one. And the platform as a services. So is an example, for example, right? So yeah, the best example, you can take the drive. Okay, so the drive, you can, the similar kind of that. They are not store everything in the same, the storage hard disk. They store everything in the same storage hard disk, but based on our account, they will separate or allocate the platform. For the best example is the virtual machines, right? So the virtual machines, so each and the AWS or Google Cloud, so they will just provide, allocate the resources for based on the clients or based on the accounts. Okay, the infrastructures, which means for the networking and storage. For example, the same thing, the S3, right? So S3 take, they have a single storage, but based on that customers, we can able to get the thing. So the core thing is the storage and networking, everything is same. They just split up based on the customers requirement. Okay, sorry. So anyone want to add anything? Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can just give a thumbs up. Okay, we will discuss about that. Or if you have any question in mid of that presentation, you can just note it down and you put that message in the message box. We will take to this the end of the session. Okay. Yeah. And next thing is the benefit. Okay, so what are the benefit we have when we use the multi-tenancy? The first one is the cost effective. Okay, just imagine, okay, if you host the application for each and every client. Okay, let's take that client A. They have very less amount of data. Okay, but you providing high configuration or mid-level configured web server. At the same time, you provide medium or high level database server. Okay, in that situation, client already have a less amount of data. Okay, but you are providing the medium or high level server. They are going to use sometimes, very rarely they are going to use large amount of data. Other than that, they are using the very minimal amount of data. So in that cases, that's a useless, because that resources is not utilizing. Okay, so that's the one thing. If that is the case, the multi-tenancy architecture is a perfect one. Okay, you can just manage everything in the single server. You can just allocate everything based on the client subscriptions. The scalability. Yeah, so the same thing, we will take the same example. Just imagine you have a 3 client and you host everything, you architect with multi-tenancy application. Okay, so you have one web server and you have a 3 different database. So you have one data, the one database server, but you have a 3 different database for 3 clients. Okay, in that situation, if the customer see utilizing lot of resources, in that situation, if it will check whether the customer A and B have utilizing that much of resource. If they are not utilizing, it will take their resources. Okay, so otherwise, if that A and B also have a lot of utilizing a lot of resources, so in that situation, it's move on to the load balancing concept, everything. Okay, so it's a very scalability one. And the maintenance, yeah, the maintenance is very easy. For example, so the same case, we have a 3 clients, and you are going to add one new feature. Okay, if you are utilizing the single tenant, so you need to do this deployment process for each and every customer separately in each and every individual servers. Let's take, if you are using the multi-tenancy concept, you don't want to do everything in the each and every clients. Okay, you just need one deployment and one migration is enough. Okay, so it will affect all the customers. Yeah, so it's a easy to use. Yeah, so just give me a moment. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely easy to use as a from the point of developers. Okay, so you don't want to check a lot of configuration. You want to do a couple of things. The one is the database thing, and another one is the catch. The session. These are the 2 things you need to focus if you are going to implement the multi-tenancy. Yeah, and the time to market. Yeah, so due to that, maintenance is a easy one, right? So you can quickly enter into the market easily. So you don't want to do client by client. So is a easy one. So we can hurry up our project, and we make sure our product in on time in market. So these are the benefits we have. Okay. Yeah, I think that's my that's all about my presentation. Then we are going to see about the limitations. So what are the limitation there in the multi-tenancy architecture? The first thing is you can't customize the code based on the client's requirement. Okay, which means, so you don't want to put write anything specific for specific clients. That is the one thing. If we we can able to do that in this architecture, but the problem is it will complicate your development effort. So each and every time you want to check, so this this will work for this client, that will work for that client. So that is the one limitation. So if your application you're going to change or particular or specific thing based on the client, you don't go to that thing, because it's complicate your development process and deployment process and testing process, these 3 things. Okay, and the another limitation is, while you go move on to the multi-tenancy, so you need to check the session and cookies kind of thing, because the problem is the exact problem is the security issue. For example, right, so we are hosting everything in the single web app. Okay, so in that situation, all the data are processing in your web app, so it have all customers data. Okay, so in that situation, if you are not focused on the security, it will gives the one customer information to the another customer. So that kind of problem that we have. Okay, so you need to make sure the security is everything is perfect in each and every cases. Okay, these are the 2 main limitation or disadvantages we have in the multi-tenancy. If you have this kind of problem, you just close your eyes and you move on to the some other architecture. Okay, if you don't aware about that, you don't worry about that, no problem, you can just move on to that. You will take the multi-tenancy. And another one thing, right, so I personally work our product working in the multi-tenancy. The another bonus point is, right, so it's a very useful if you have large amount of data. Okay, so we are handling around 50 million data in our products. Okay, so it won't any mistake. It very perfect, and it's uh, running without any performance issues. So that is the one thing, because here we can the if we are handling the large amount of data, right? So the main problem you facing in the database section, because if you are hosting one database, okay, in that situation, that one database is handling all the database process. So in that situation, so how we handle our web application is one, and we host our database into the multiple hosters. I mean multiple RDS servers. Okay, that's located in a different location. Okay, that's the one big advantage. Okay, yeah. So these are the benefits and disadvantages we have in the multi-tenancy. So let's move on to the coding part. I just give you the uh, yeah. Yeah, so this is just a task notes I prepared myself for this session. Okay, we will just see one by one. Okay, so you guys are seeing my code editor, right? Yes, if yes, you can just a thumbs up.
Yes, we can see Muthu.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay, the first step is the typical one, that normal one, the legendary one. We need to create the Laravel project. So I already created in my local system. Just confirm. Yeah, I think yes. So this is so this is the folder I create my Laravel project. Then my next step two is I'm going to create the tenancy database. Okay. So before that, why the multi-tenancy need the tenancy database? Okay. Let's move on to the slide. Okay. So here I already told, right? So we have one web application and we have a multiple database for multiple clients. So we need some root. That root should know about which client, which database contain which client informations. Okay, so that is the one. That is a root. That is a master. Okay, so that is a in the Spotty. Okay, so Spotty also providing the multi-tenancy architecture, multi-tenancy package. They also have the same thing in their packages. Okay, yeah. So that is a tenant table. In the tenant table, we are going to store all the client related and client hosting server information in our tenant table. So that is the thing I created here. Okay. Okay. So here is my tenant table. I name it as a Laracan. And this is the master table. So this is a table I'm going to maintain. So the client and also the client database informations. Okay. So yeah, here I just mention couple of things called a domain name and status and database name, username. Okay, the one thing, right? So if you want to host it into the multiple RDS server, no problem. You can just need to mention it the particular database host name and I mean the configuration details here. Okay, that's enough. Okay, in that situation, you can just understand. So right now we have that tenant, I mean the master table. That master table contains client and its database informations. Okay, yeah. And the step two is then I'm going to make the changes in our Laravel application. So we need to set up so which request have which request, what is the request came from the HTTP request. Based on the request, we need to identify which database I want to choose. So these are the things we are going to showcase. Before that, I just configure everything in my env file. So here you can see, so this is my env file. I just mention it my master database, that is a tenant database. Okay. Yes. Then I'm going to So before that, I just revert my things. We will just go from scratch. App service provider. I just command everything. Okay, so there is nothing in app service provider. So it's a default app service provider. I'm not going to write anything here right now. Then I'm going to see what is my database here. I'm going to run. Okay. So before that, I just want to show another thing. For testing this multi-tenancy architecture, right? I'm going to configure 3 subdomains in my local system. Just to show you these things. Okay. Okay, so here you can see. For testing, here I created the 3 things. One is the chennai.laracon.com and ahmedabad.laracon.com and nagpur.laracon.com. So here it acts as a 3 different clients. Okay, that's the purpose I'm writing this here. So now I'm running this application chennai.laracon.com. Oops. I think, yeah, I need to solve this application. Oops. Right to screen conversation. Okay, fine. Okay. Cloud service provider. Partition. Config cache. Clear. Yeah, I think now it's done. Let me check. Okay, here you can see my database connection is Laracon. Okay, so now it's pointing out that's a default application. Now it's pointing out my tenancy table. I mean tenancy database. Okay. So here I'm going to check the tables I have. No, instead of I just show you this. Tables. Okay, so now you can see is pointing out my tenancy database. Okay, now I just command these things. Then I'm going to start my write the tenancy configurations. Okay, so you can also write it in the you can create the separate service provider for that. For the time consuming, I'm just going to do everything in my app service provider. Okay. Okay. So before that, we need to make sure our request. Okay. So Laravel basically have a 2 requesters. Okay. One is the HTTP kernel and another one is the console kernel. Okay. So HTTP kernel is typical our Postman request or the browser request we send it from our system. And the kernel request, I mean the console request, which means we are doing some command, right? So PHP artisan make controller, PHP artisan migrate, make migration. So these are all the console requests. Okay, so in the tenancy, we are getting the client information while they are using the HTTP request. But at the same time, we can't able to read the client information in the console request. Okay, so that's why here we are going to make two things. I just separate whether my request is from HTTP or the kernel. Okay, I mean the console. So I check. So whether if the in some cases, if it is came from the kernel, so I didn't do anything. I just start I skipping this portion because we are going to handle it in separate way. I in the later point of view, I will just explain about that as well. Okay, and the next step, just example, we will test this. Okay, just I dump the value. It's from console from HTTP. Okay, just run this one. Yeah, this is from the HTTP. Then I'm going to test the console thing. PHP partition, make migration. Okay, so now it's work. Okay, just okay. So this thing is work now. Just do nothing here. And the next thing is we need to identify what is our host, which means we need to identify the request came from which customer or which client. Okay, for that only I will separate. I will just made the changes in my host, that is from here. Okay, so just we will see. We just hit all the customer request here, and we will check it came perfectly in our service provider. I'm going to Laravel. What is the next one? Is not 8,000. Oops. Yeah. So I just want to make sure. Yes. Okay. So it just gives the value. So this is the request. It came from the customer called nagpur.laracon.in, and this is came from ahm.laracon.com, and this is came from Chennai. So now we can able to fetch the customer information from our request. Okay, so we also can able to, if you are using AP kind of thing, I mean the single page application. In that situation, okay, you don't worry about that. We couldn't able to get create each and every thing in our DNS. In that situation, you can just send this customer information in the header, in your request header. Okay, in that situation, we don't want this multiple DNS pointer for our backend request checking. Okay, you just need to send this information into in our header. Okay, so next the thing is I just going to check this particular customer information is available in my master database or not. Okay, so this is the place I just check everything. Okay, is just a select query. I write it here. Okay, so it will confirm whether this customer is present or not. Based on that, if the customer is not present, I just redirect in some other places like here I just made it as a welcome. So you can make it as a sign up account or kind of thing. Okay. So just check that thing. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here we're going to see all the information. Okay, so here you can see Chennai.Larakan is my customer. This customer have the DB host here, and the database name is this one, and username, password, and everything. If I try to hit anything from some other instance, for example, I just try it from this section. Yeah, it will display to the just again. Okay, it's move on to the welcome. Let's confirm. Yeah, so here welcome, we don't have anything. Yeah, so nothing present here. So that's why it just a display empty. So if I made it as something value, it will display that section. Yeah. And the next thing is we need to configure the app for each and every client. Before that, you just want to make sure one thing. So I write this logic in the boot. So which means the following code will run before your actual business logic runs. Okay, so that's the key thing here. Okay, after the composer boot done, the next thing is it will run. Okay, so that's the main thing here. So in case if I did this in my controller or any other places, so the after the service provider only the controller and middleware everything is done. So that's why I made it is the in this section. This is a entry level thing we can able to change it. Okay, so here I just made the configurations. I mean, I'm going to just set the new customer database information. So yeah, the database name is my domain name. I mean the customer name, and the host is my customer database host. Okay, so if you have if you want to handle multiple customer information into multiple database servers, okay, you can just mention that host information in the master table. That's enough. Okay. Yeah, so here I made everything. Let's check what is my response. I mean the database configuration for each and every clients. I'm just a config. Okay, so database. Okay, so I'm going to print it. Okay, so here my connection name is Chennai. Here you can see this particular Chennai client have the database name called it Chennai. I just want to make sure whether we have a Chennai. Yes, so here we have a Chennai database. I just okay, so yeah, so I just run the test run. So that's why it have a information here. I just delete those things. So yeah, so we have a Chennai database now. So that's our end goal. That's a success one. Then we check the Ahmedabad one also. Okay, so here you can see you can have this particular customer database configuration or connection also done here. And similarly, interesting. Okay, so which means I think we don't have. Yeah, so we couldn't get the Nagpur because it's not available in the database. Okay, I just duplicate this one and make as a Nagpur. And I confirm. Oops. So yeah, so now we have a If we hitting from the Nagpur account, it will configure the Nagpur database automatically. Okay, that configuration is done. And my next step is a DB. Yeah. So here I just set the account connection as a default connection for the request. So the reason we are setting, right? So in the typical Laravel application, you can see if you are referring the database in our Laravel documentation, you can see there's a connection function. So using that connection function, you can dynamically change the database on the runtime. For avoiding that, I set this particular database as a default database. Okay, so in the each and every time, I don't want to set the connection to this Chennai account. Okay, so instead of that, I make set this as a default. So that's the thing I'm here, and I clearing the catches, DB catch. Okay, so that's a two thing I'm here doing in this section, and this is yeah. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to change the app URL and app name based on the customer. The reason, right? So in the mail application, we are the mail functionality, so we will set some app information as a mail subject kind of thing, right? For that purposes, I'm change the app URL, and also changing the app name. So that is the thing. So it's I want to share this information. That's why I'm mentioning it, but it's a very minor thing. And the next very important thing is this one. Okay, so if we are going to use the multi-tenancy, you want to know one thing. I already told, right? The security is a considerable drawback while you using the multi-tenancy. The problem is we are using the single web server. At the same time, we are using the multiple database server. So all the data information and all the client related cache and the session information, we are going to handle it the one single web server. In that situation, there is a lot of possibility, not a lot of possibility, there's 100% possibility you may face that catch conflict. For example, right? So if you're logging as a customer, okay, and at the same time concurrently the B customer also using this application, okay, so if you are forget this step, the B customer information, it will show to the A customer A account. Okay, so that is the main thing we need to do it here. We need to set a catch prefix, catch or session prefix for each and every accounts. Otherwise, this kind of problem you may face. Okay, so there's a one important thing here. I just do one thing. I create all the catches and I add the prefix of my account information. So that's the one thing I'm going to do it here. So this is a very important one. Just I just skip that this thing, and I just to show you one real-time example how it conflict your data. Okay. Yeah, I just revert it. Okay. So here, yeah. So here, I'm going to run this URL. Okay, it will catch the app name. So which means if I log in as a enter as a Chennai account user, the app name should be Chennai because we set that thing here. Okay, then we are going to set it to the catch. Then we are going to see that catch in the welcome. Just give me a minute. I just confirm. Okay, instead of that, we will just display it here. It's a get test. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Sorry, I forgot to put a DD. is a Chennai. This account also displays a Chennai. This account also displays a Chennai. Now the problem is all the places it's running from the one catch. Okay, that's why it display all the section as a Chennai. So now I'm going to add the prefix for each and every account. Let's see what I can see. Is a okay, it's a chennai.laracon.in. Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah, so this is the app name. So that's why it display like this. And what, sorry. Yes, this is also I set as the app name. Now I just can see this is a ahmedabadlarakan.com. It's displayed as a nagpur.larakan.com. So that is the difference. That's why we need to put it in that place. Yeah, so now we are ready to do it. Now it's ready for HTTP request. Then our next goal is we need to make sure there's a no problem in our console request. Okay, for that, here I have one basic command because the most the most highlighted part in Laravel is a migration. That's the best thing. Okay, so that's why all the migration and everything is run from the console kernel. So that's why this is very important. We can't ignore that one. Yeah. So here I just do it one thing, that the famous query I take the famous command php partition make migration. Okay, I'm going to run the migration command. Here you can see these are all my migration file here in my system. So right, we are going to run one web app. So I'm going to run only one time as my command. That command will migrate all this migration file in my all the accounts. Okay, and before that we make sure all the account have without any table. So Ahmedabad, here I have a table. I'm just going to flush this table. And Nagpur, I don't have any database. I just created one. Nagpur. Okay, so here what I'm going to do. So I'm going to hit fetch all the master database information. So based on the information, I just loop it out. So I configure one database at a time. Then I run the migration command. Okay, it's just a Laravel migration command. Okay, I put it as a database as my DB name. I mean the tenant database name. That's it. Okay. So if any issues happen in typical migration command, it will display the errors, right? So I just simplify what was the error is there. Okay, that's why I just mentioned as a get message. Okay, if you want, you can just log all the errors. Here I just put it as a get message. Okay, I think that's enough for me. That's right. Okay, just we will run that. So my command is php partition tenancy migrate. Okay, here you can see. So it will go the database one by one. First, it will configure the Chennai database. Then it started the migration. I just put it as an info here. Okay, it started the migration for Chennai database. Then it will run the migration. Then it finished. Similarly, it will migrate all the thing. Okay, so here it display Ahmedabad 2 times. Let's check why. Okay, the problem is I configured the domain name, but I forgot about the database name. I just use the same database here. That's why. Okay, now I change the database. Okay, so let's run it again. Yeah, so the Chennai migration is done, Ahmedabad migration done, and Nagpur migration also done. Let's check the database one by one. Here is Ahmedabad. Here I have all the migration files. And then I go to the Chennai. Here also I have my migration files. Then I go to Nagpur. Yeah, so this is also here, all the migration file. So this is the way we need to customize our command while we are handling the console request. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing. And apart from that, right, the cron services, right? So the scheduler part also is a very important thing in the Laravel. So while you're running the scheduler, just you want to do one thing, the same thing we need to paste it in our kernel here. Then I just put it as a I just need to put my scheduler configuration here. That's enough. Okay, so it will take all the thing automatically. So you don't want to do anything different from this. That's enough. Okay, and the another one important thing is, you all know, right? So these sessions and cookies, everything, it will work only in the HTTP request. When you go to the console request, you can't fetch this information. In that kind of situation, we need to pass one parameter from while we running. So this is the thing while we using the queue concept, I mean job concept. Okay, so in that situation, you need to send the domain or the customer name into your queue payload. Okay, or the job payload. Okay, in the queue part, okay, in the job folder, I mean the job class, you just need to one thing, that's the trade function you need to call. So this trade function will, before start your start your process of queue or process of job file, okay, it will configure the domain name as a default connection, database connection for the particular job function. Okay, so this is the one thing. Yeah, I think that's all about I want to share in this session. So yeah, I think if you have any doubts or any questions, you can just post it in the Zoom section, or you can just raise a hand and we will clarify one by one. Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Muthu.
Yeah.
So anyone having any questions? Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions. And in the meantime, we have our usual PHP Storm license giveaway contest now. So everyone who want to enroll themselves for this giveaway, please put your names in this form. I'm sending a link in a bit. Okay. So I posted the link of the form in the chat window. All those who want to enroll their names for the PHP Storm license giveaway contest, please fill that form. In the meantime, anyone, any questions from your side? So Muthu, I have a question for you. Normally,
sure.
for a general, let's say mid-sized project, what would you prefer? Would you advise to build the multi-tenancy ourselves or use some third-party packages like Sparsys multi-tenancy package?
Yeah. So in the mid-level, I think I prefer the party because you don't want to do too much of confirmation. The problem is if your project is too large and it will be there is a lot of complication in the security-wise kind of thing, right? In that situation, you go with the multi-tenancy. For the typical for the just a small and medium level project, yes, party is good. But the problem is we couldn't customize that much of things.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Yeah.
Okay. And since we are able to use different connections for different tenants, I believe it is very easy to also use different database servers for different tenants.
Yeah, the one thing, right? So for if you take there's a too much of data set is there, right? So we can't monitor all the thing. If any customer, "Hey, I have this issues in the database," and you can't check that because you already maintain all your information in the single database. So it's very difficult. If it is a multiple connections, so or multiple tenant database, you can just easily download that and you can check it because that database only have that client information. It's easy to audit.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions from your side? I've got 10 names till now for the PHP Storm license. I'll just wait 1 more minute and then we will run the Wheel of Fortune. There are around 20 participants, 18, 20 participants in this Zoom call.
I'm also going to participate.
Sure, sure. Please go ahead. Okay, so I have 11 names till now. So let me copy these names quickly. Copy. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and then I'll run the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to run the wheel now. All the best to all the participants. Hussein it is. Congratulations, Hussein. You there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I have my baby, so I was not coming on mute. There'll be a lot of noise, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay, no problems. Just ping
That
me
was-
on email or Twitter or anywhere, and I'll hand over your PHP Storm license to you later on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll send it over here. It is in the form. Sorry. Yeah. Email is in the form, or I can send it to you. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining this month's meetup. And next month we'll also come up with another meetup with a new speaker. If any one of you want to speak at our meetups, please feel free to DM me, email me, or just let me know if you are interested in speaking. I would encourage new speakers to come up and speak on topics they like. So that's all from my side. Thank you. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Abbas. Thanks for setting up this event. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And thanks,
Bye.
Muthukumar. Thank you for your session. It was really
Yeah. So we will meet up the next LaraCon.
LaraCon. Yes,
Right.
and forgot to mention that. So I believe every one of you now know that Laracon 2000
Udaipur.
India 2024 will be held on 24th and 25th March in Udaipur, and I'm hoping to see you all over there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We'll discuss more about Laracon India in the coming meetups.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, boss. Thank you, and congratulations, Hussain, for that PHP license, Strong license. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Muthu. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Thank you.